Well, I really do appreciate all the comments. I don't get overwhelmed too much, as Jeff knows. I'm not a man of few words. In fact, you know, now leaving that, all of you know I'm very much into transparency. So I need to admit I have an addiction. It's an addiction to words. And as many people who work closely with me, they're nonstop. So we actually before this get together had several staff meetings to try to figure out how they were going to deal with my addiction. So Stephanie, I know you've got your little sign.
No, I don't.
You forgot your little sign. No. Good, that means I can talk for as long as I want to. One of the things I do, and anybody who works with me for any time knows, I have a story for any occasion. In fact, more likely I have 3 or 4 or 5 stories for every occasion. So Lorna has a little sign, which is going to prevent me from getting off in one of my stories here.
It's in my language. It says no stories.
Yeah, I think she did it. You know, as Mike knows, I'm very much a conspiratorialist for it. So I think there's probably an expletive deleted in there. But since I don't know Tagalog, that's pure speculation on my part. For it. So, being a man of few words, I'm going to concentrate on 2, and that's thank you. Certainly, thank you for coming today and for all the nice things you had to say, truth or not. But what I really want to do is say thank you to everybody I've worked with. Certainly the people here, as well as people I've worked with over the years. So, as Kevin mentioned, he doesn't know what we do here. So I'm going to give a little tutorial. Give me a little tutorial here. We're called housing, and I had the good fortune of coming aboard in '91 when the city's affordable housing programs were just started. Sparky mentioned the project we completed in '93. That was kind of our first completed affordable housing project. Well, being a numbers man, I decided to go back and look over 21 years and kind of see. And we have facilitated the development of over 3,500 affordable housing units.
Oh my goodness.
So that's something you can be proud of. Can be proud of. Along with that, we should this year, assuming Kevin or Calvin
I've got a new name.
we should surpass more than 3,000 units having been rehabilitated, occupied by low-income households. About 2/3 of those have been done by the one program we actually operate in-house, which is a homeowner rehab program known affectionately as NCIP, Neighborhood Conservation Improvement Program. And the third component of what we do is we support public services. And again, being a numbers man, I went back and counted. Since we've been here, we've supported 34 different agencies, some of them for the full term that I've been here. Some of them for shorter periods because of particular needs that they had. The last 3 years, those services that we've supported have served over 13,000 individuals each of those 3 years. Put it in perspective, that means we impacted 1 out of every 8 residents of the city of Santa Clara. So again, that's a record I think we can be proud of. Those who we've worked with can be proud of. We've had the support of the council. We've come up with, as Jeff can well tell you, he's got the gray hairs to show it, what's left of them. For that, there hardly goes by a day where I don't drop something new on Jeff's desk and say, we need to address this right now. And Bill, I want to take a moment to thank you. Bill did not toot his own horn, and he should. When I came aboard, Bill had been here for 15 years. And I became very interested in survivors of domestic violence. There were a couple issues that I became aware of, and found out that Bill was the group in the county for that. And I think it's one of the areas that we work together very well. I took your experience and sort of my crazy ideas, and you toned them down, and we made them into something. But there's a couple innovative projects we did here. In the early '90s, in addressing the issue of survivors of domestic violence, I learned that one of the problems with the victims is in many cases they have no place to go. That if they don't have family or they don't have something else. And did a little research, talked among people here, drew on Bill and his knowledge, and I couldn't find anything nationally that thought of a transitional period, get people out of a violent situation. It took us a few years to get that project up for it, and actually it was, Bill kind of got wind of it, and of course the county and us are always competing for who's going to get top billing for the project, and came up with a proposal to develop 96 units of transitional housing in the county. The first of those was Home Safe Santa Clara, which conveniently is located right next to the police department here in Santa Clara. So that's one of the projects I'm most proud of, because that sort of was something we recognized and something that we were able to get that regional view on, get support. And there were several jurisdictions that supported that project, as well as here in Santa Clara. A few years later, I became aware of the plight of generally spouses of immigrants that are here on visas. That effectively the spouses are often here on dependent visas. Their right to stay here depends upon their spouse. Well, there's a problem when the spouse batters the wife. Our vice president in 1999 passed a law called Violence, or at least got a law passed called the Violence Against Women's Act. For that provided a path for citizenship for those persons on a dependent visa. I became aware of this a couple of years after the law, and I remember talking to Bill and saying, you know, that it seems to me we're not doing anything in this direction. And we became aware of a couple agencies that were, and we developed a project. It wound up being in Cupertino, but was supported by, I know, the county, by us, obviously, Cupertino, Sunnyvale, and Mountain View. I think there were a couple other cities that were involved in that, to effectively provide transitional housing for persons, because unfortunately there was a waiting period to be able to move from the visa to it. So those are two of my favorite projects, and two of them that I'm as much thankful to you, Bill, as anyone, to help get those projects moved. But it's an example of the kind of things we do here. It's an example of the kind of things that Jeff has to deal with from the every day, as I bring these new wonderful ideas for saving the world to him, and also come up with the financing schemes of how to take care of for that. So those numbers I gave you, to me, I'm very proud of them, but they aren't our numbers. They're basically everybody's numbers who work. We take seriously, and we have taken seriously, that we're in a partnership. We're in a partnership with the community agencies and nonprofits. They do the legwork. When I say we facilitated the development, that's what we did. We're the bankers, so we're the bad guys. Sometimes we behave that way. But we're also the technical assistants, help you wade through the myriads of bureaucratic barriers and everything else that we kind of run into. And that's why that's happened. And along with that is the support of council. Somehow council ultimately buys the crazy ideas we sort of hatch out here, and they certainly deserve credit on behalf of the city for it. And those accomplishments are all participated in. And so those two words, thank you, really goes to all of you. My part is there, but it's worthless without you.